Hello. Hi. Hello. Just waiting for Helen to join us. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Yelena. How is everyone doing? Right, Helen is here. Fabulous. Oh, I waved at Helen. I need to. Helen, I think you need to request to be part of the live session. There, let's make that a bit better. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Fabulous. Yes, go live with Dr. Helen Lawal. Fabulous. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. It's a beautiful sunny day in Yorkshire. Hi.
Hi, morning.
How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. You look really well.
Oh, thanks. I thought I'd treat you to a bit of lipstick.
Don't worry, our lipstick and our makeup is going to last for the next year.
Yeah, is at this rate, yeah.
Yeah. And how is baby?
He's good, actually. It's good timing because he's upstairs asleep at the moment.
Wow. So this is your time.
Yes, this is me time.
Fabulous. So thank you so much, Helen. I know it's a precious time now, especially when you have a newborn. But it's also really strange times because this is the first we are all experiencing this in our lifetime. So it's really great that you have agreed to come and share your expertise around, how new moms can cope and just how to make this time a bit more positive.
Yeah.
For new moms.
Yeah, thank you for asking me. I'm really excited to be here, actually. I've been watching some of your other Instagram lives, and I think it's really nice to hear from other women and to feel that you're not alone out there, whether you're a mum, a new mum or not, and can I just say that I'm definitely talking from the perspective of experience as a new mum rather than expertise as a doctor or a GP. So and I'm very much still learning. I'm very much still on a journey and quite early on in that journey of parenthood.
I know, because I have two and the 3-year-old. So I feel like I still have a newborn-ish, if I can qualify for that. And it's always great to hear the personal experiences because it's not, like you rightly said, it's not always the textbook examples that are working, but it's the personal experiences from moms. I'm telling you what worked for them, what didn't work, and learning from those personal stories and experiences. So that has more value even.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually. I think, as a doctor, as a GP, as a junior doctor, I've worked in Leeds and London, and I've worked in NHS, and I've been a doctor for 10 years. And during that time, I've worked in obs and gynae and paediatrics. And I've learned most, I think, about pregnancy and children going through it myself, being a patient, being pregnant and experiencing the really significant and profound emotional and physiological changes within my body. That they don't teach you those things at med school or when you're on training, and it really gave me a new perspective, and hopefully it'll mean I'm a better doctor for it. And similarly, going through childbirth, I'd assisted in so many cesarean sections and been at so many labours before, and going through it yourself, it's a whole different thing.
It is a whole different ball game.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely helped me have a non-medicalised perspective on life in general, really. I think, you almost become institutionalised working within the NHS because all you see is disease or things going wrong, or ill people or unwell people or anxious people, and going through it myself, it's a much more balanced and a natural and real experience. So I've learnt loads going through it all.
Can I just say, before we carry on, everybody on the call, can we just give a clap to Helen to, for being a doctor, for giving your time. I know a lot of doctors are putting their lives on the line. And even if you're not in the front line, you know, my husband is ill home now, you still carry so much guilt and responsibility because that's how you've been trained. So I just wanted to give you a big clap and just say thank you so much for what you do, even from your home right now, for what you're doing, because we so appreciate it. And I don't think we'll all be in this place right now if not for the sacrifices of you doctors and your families. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Through this from home, and ordinarily I would be out there either in GP practice or giving my time to work in maybe urgent care or A&E. I'd be out there on the front line, and I definitely have that a sense of guilt, or quite a strong sense of really wanting to contribute in this time, and watching my colleagues, friends and family who are all doctors, you know, out there. So clap for them, definitely. And thank you to all of them for the hard work and the courage, I think, more than anything, and the strength of character. And it makes me very proud to be part of the NHS team, Team NHS.
Team NHS is getting all the credit it deserves and all the love it's deserved for a long time.
Yeah, finally. You
finally.
Know, this is really, this is shining a light really on the great work that my colleagues are doing already.
Yeah. And I think there's so many challenges with this pandemic, but there's so many positives as well. And part of this well-being session is for us to acknowledge the fact, but also to find ways to progress despite the facts, to find joy in the everyday things. Because when you have a newborn, it's such a special moment. I remember when I had my son and my daughter, those two pregnancies were so different. One was a natural birth, happy in the moment. Oh my God, I can't believe I just birthed a human. And the second was a cesarean where I was lying in bed and the baby was, I could hear the baby crying on a table, and it was so surreal. So it's been so different, but even the two of them as children, they teach me different things as a mom. And I don't want to miss out on that despite the pandemic. So I want to focus on the joy I'm getting from my children right now, and make it about that rather than about the fact that, you know, I'm not able to do all the other things that I could be doing in addition to that.
Yeah, I love that, focusing on the joy, and it might just be finding joy in the really small moments. And I think we're not saying that you shouldn't allow yourself to feel negative emotions. You know, it's a normal part of going through an experience like this to feel sadness or guilt or resentment or feeling like it's unfair, you know, feeling worried for yourself, the health of yourself and family members. And it is important to allow those emotions, for yourself to experience those emotions, I think, and not suppress them. But also, we have to get through this. And the way that I have managed to reframe things in a more positive light is to use gratitude and turn towards gratitude, and just be grateful for the small moments. And actually I've jotted a few things down because it's easy to forget, isn't it? So these are really things I think that are relevant to being a new mum at the moment. So number one, I'm grateful for a beautiful, healthy baby who's arrived safely into the world.
Aww,
yeah, because that's one thing, isn't it? And there'll be lots of mums that are maybe coming towards the end of their third trimester, or are due to be induced, or coming towards term, or have just had a little baby. And, you know, that is the most special experience, birthing a baby and to become a mum. It really is special. I think we've really got to hold on to that, and hold on to that that precious little
bundle.
Bundle.
I love that. Let me just touch on that a minute, Helen, because I have had 3 pregnancies, and I remember the fear you feel before you have the babies, because you're not sure whether the babies will be okay, whether they'll be needing any kind of medical support. But also with I had a miscarriage in between the two babies, which was a late stage miscarriage. So even as we're talking about pregnancy and babies now, I'm sure there are people who are still going through the challenges of losing a baby halfway through and the journey. And that can be very difficult grief to deal with as well.
Yeah.
And I remember when that I was going through that, and there was the risk of, you know, even if you have the baby and it progressed to term, the baby might not be okay, and the baby might have these complications. And it was such a difficult period for us. But then when I got the third pregnancy and finally a healthy baby girl came, like you said, we tend to forget that that was a prayer answered. This baby who has arrived and is beautiful and is eating well and is crying, that is in itself is a prayer answered. And I just love that you mentioned that, because we can't get caught up in forgetting what a miracle babies are.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, miscarriages are so common that they affect 1 in 4 women, you know, and yeah, I certainly feel lucky to have had a normalish pregnancy and to have a beautiful baby. So yeah, it's important to remember that, isn't it? Definitely.
Yes, it is. And if anyone is watching us and you have any questions at all for Helen, or you want to share an experience, please feel free to type it in, because the more interaction we have, the better. And if you know any friends who are having babies or have a baby who are not on this live right now, just pop them a reminder so they can join us as well.
Yeah, definitely. The second thing is really, and the reason I thought of this second one is because a friend who's recently had a baby said to me, "Oh, aren't you a bit annoyed that this is how you'll be spending your maternity leave?" And until she'd said that, I hadn't actually thought about it. I just felt so lucky to have my husband at home with us now.
Yes.
So we're seeing it as almost an extended paternity leave, you know. He may be working, but he's in the house, he's with us. And when else would that happen? When else would we have the opportunity for the three of us to be together 24/7? And I think because my little boy, he's so young, he's only 3 months, that's all that really matters in his world. You know, he doesn't have a clue what's going on out there. And the main thing is that he's got his 2 primary caregivers. He's got his mum and his dad nurturing him and showering him in love and affection. And that's really all that matters. And I think that's quite reassuring as a new mum or a mum that has a baby, is to remember that the babies will respond to you and how you are. So I am doing my best to remain happy, smiling and calm, and just to focus all my attention on him, because that's really what makes the biggest difference when you've got a little one. I know it's different when you've got older children, isn't it, because they're perhaps more aware of what's going on, and then it can be a bit more of a confusing time for them.
Yeah, I think that is such a valuable point as well, because the dads tend to miss out. In a typical world, they would have had to go back to work after 2 weeks or 3 months, depending on the company you're working for. So to have this time is a gift that we would all have forgotten. That's so true. Yeah.
What else have I written down? Oh, I've put here, normally, so in my first six to 8 weeks of having a little boy of my maternity leave, I was just absolutely loving being a new mum. First of all, not working, because I was definitely a bit of a workaholic before. You know, this time last summer, I was travelling the world in my second trimester of pregnancy. I was travelling the world, filming for TV, working in the NHS. There was no doubt about it. I was a workaholic and a bit of a stress head. And I'd almost let work and my mood and stress define me. And having that 4 weeks of maternity leave before he arrived to unwind, and then the 6 weeks before all this started of going out and about and going to cafes, going to mum and baby groups, connecting with friends and family and new mums. For the first time in my life, I felt the happiest and most relaxed I'd felt, really. And I know there is that pressure for new mums normally outside of this situation to get up and get out and do these things. And for me, that was me doing less. But some mums may feel that actually there's a pressure, I've got to go to these mum baby groups and I've got to go out and about and get myself up and out of the house. there's almost that FOMO, isn't there, of missing out if you
out.
don't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So the good thing about this situation is there is no FOMO, right?
Yeah. No,
Everybody
there
at
is no
home.
FOMO.
You don't need to go anywhere if you don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I had my son, I found the whole experience of being a new mom so overwhelming that I didn't leave my house for months until my sister came to visit, and she's a shopaholic, and she said, "We're going shopping." I'm like, I don't want to go shopping, because I found the whole experience of breastfeeding, which I've chosen to do in public, just difficult, and making sure I pack this bag that is supposed to have everything that we both need at every point in time. I just found the whole experience overwhelming, and it took me a long while to get out. So if I had been having that experience now, I would not have had any of the negative emotions that I had at the time around not being able to get up and go, and seeing all these moms outside with their prams and, just looking so fabulous with their makeup on. And I could barely lift myself out of this house because I find the experience overwhelming. So that is such a huge thing, as you said, that is taken away.
Yeah, and I think, there'll be lots of people out there in different situations right now, with work and family and children and relatives, and in ill health and in good health. And I think being a new mum, in a way, that's the best place to be, because it's all, your world has already shrunk so much, and it's all about this beautiful little being. And that's the focus, isn't it? You don't have to go anywhere. It's all about nurturing and staying home and feeding and growing a baby, really. To make the most of this time, where you don't have to think about much else. There is that side to it, but then also I think it is still important to connect with other mums, and that's something that it's almost I'm grieving the loss of. And I think a lot of what we're experiencing at this time is like grieving, isn't it? The loss of what would have been, if it wasn't for lockdown, I would have been doing certain things. I would have been spending more time with friends and family and mum and baby groups. And I think that's what I am missing the most, is just being around other new mums to chat and connect. And we all like for other people to see our little one, and to get the compliments and to show them off in their cute little outfits and all of that. And I'm missing all of that. But there's still ways to do that. There are still ways to do that. In our NCT group, we've set up a weekly Zoom play date where we all get together and with our babies and have a chat and just talk through all sorts and bits and bobs. I'm still doing exercise classes online. I do the Mummy Fit exercise class. I find that really great. So there's still ways to connect with other mums. I think it's really important to still reach out and do that for our own mental health and mental well-being at this time.
Yeah. What about people who might be experiencing post the baby blues?
Yeah. So there's the baby blues, isn't there? And then there's postnatal depression.
Yes.
So the baby blues, I guess, is a period sort of a week or so after you've given birth, where your mood can really, really drop. Because I know I definitely experienced almost a euphoria initially of just being completely elated and overwhelmed with positive emotion. And then what can happen is those hormones then change, and the reality hits, and you're sleep deprived and you're tired. It can be a difficult, lonely time, and that's baby blues. But actually it's really important to keep an eye out for postnatal depression, which is different, and it's less common but more serious. So if you're really feeling like you're not coping, you feel very depressed, and your mood's not fluctuating but it's consistently low, and you're feeling like you can't cope, or feeling negative emotions and feelings towards your baby, then it's still important now, despite us being in lockdown, to still reach out in the normal ways to your GP and your midwife. They're still, and your health visitors, they're still out there. So still reach out if you need support. That's really important. Don't ignore things you would normally ignore.
Yes. My husband just popped in looking for our little one. I'm just thinking, has he lost our baby? I'm just the call.
How can you lose a baby?
It's just ridiculous. I'm sure they'll sort themselves out. This is the mom's life, really, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's so important that you say that you can still reach out to your GP and health professionals when you need help. Because I think a lot of people are worried that even those venues are not open. Because when Michael has been to work and had clinics, people haven't shown up, even though they might have needed the support at the time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's a really important message. So I think that's the biggest concern as a GP and speaking to my GP colleagues. So if you're unwell, physically or mentally, the GP practices are still open. The GPs are still there. Yes, they're doing most things online or over the phone, but they're still there at the other end of the phone. And if you need to see them face to face, they will arrange for that to happen. Similarly, the health visitors are still out there in the community to support you. And yes, perhaps the weighing clinics, where you'd go and weigh in baby and see the health visitors, those aren't happening, but the health visitor is still there. And if you're worried about baby, don't ignore that concern. Now more than ever, emotions are heightened and anxiety and worry is heightened. Actually, what I did, because I was missing weighing our little one, was I bought my own weighing scales. So we do our own little weekly weigh-in now.
Oh,
which is
so
nice.
cute.
It's nice to have feedback. You want to make sure that you're doing the right things, and it's important to have that feedback. And it's those little moments that help keep you going when baby's gained a little bit of weight, or the midwife's pleased with how the feeding's going. And the same with the breastfeeding as well. I'm breastfeeding and I've been relatively lucky. It's been fairly straightforward, but it's really, really challenging. It can be really, really, really hard. And most women don't successfully breastfeed, but that support is still out there. You can still speak to your breastfeeding counsellors. So don't forget to reach out.
I love that you talked about the weighing, because when you're breastfeeding, I remember it's just this limitless, bottomless baby just eating.
Yeah.
And you're not even sure if it's the right amount that it's supposed to be eaten at this stage of its life. Whereas people who are being bottle fed, babies that are bottle fed, you can say, they had 100 ml today. Oh, my baby is right on spot. But with the breast, you're like, is that enough? Should I
exactly? You don't know how much is coming out, do you?
Yeah,
no idea. I mean, it's a bit of a clue when the boob goes a bit squidgy. That there's less milk in than there was. That's a bit of a clue. But especially with our little boy, he's so long. And he didn't look as chubby as I thought he should look at this age. Babies are normally chubby. And I was like, is it just because he's long? But anyway, he's doing great. So
fantastic. I think that's such a great tip for anyone listening. If you're not sure, just to weigh baby. Could you use a regular home scale like what we adults use?
You can. There are special baby scales available online. But there was a long delivery time and it was a bit pricey. So I just bought a really accurate adult scale and stood on and then undressed him and then held him, and it measured it really, really, really accurately. Top tip there for new mums.
That's a fantastic tip. And so I think if you're breastfeeding, well done. If you're not as well done. You're still feeding your baby. I think there's a lot of guilt that comes with that whole experience as well. And I think it's pretty challenging when you want to do everything perfectly, whether it's the first time or the second time around or the third or even more. You just want to do your very best for each baby.
Yeah, and I think in many ways to bottle feed is more tricky, if you're managing to bottle feed and baby's growing and doing well, because you've got to do the measuring, haven't you, and get the temperature right and all of that. And in many ways, I mean, I wouldn't have a clue what to do, if I'm honest, if it came to bottle feeding now.
Can you imagine all having to sterilize because you're worried about COVID?
Well, this is the other thing, isn't it? It's that additional worry about bacteria, viruses, germs in general.
Sending love to all the moms out there.
Yeah, definitely sending love and support, and you're doing so well. Keep going. This time is going to pass. It will definitely pass, and you look back at it, and it'll be a really it'll be an interesting story to tell your little ones. And actually, one thing that I'm doing is, you can get the baby journals where you there's the ones that are already printed that you just sort of fill in the gaps and write bits and bobs down. So I've got one of those, and I'd encourage all the new mums out there to do that, you know, to start journaling and making a note, so that your baby will know when they're grown up, you know, what's been happening in the world and in the news, but also for you a way of you documenting how you're feeling and what your emotions are. I think writing things down is a really important part of processing what's going on and having a record of it as well, so that when you've got through this, you can look back and be proud of yourself.
Can we talk about sleep?
Yes, we can.
Baby sleep and mommy sleep. Normally, if you're going out of the house, you're getting fresh air and exercise, it's much easier to sleep at night, isn't it? But I've heard people say that they're not getting a good night's sleep and they're waking up really frazzled and tired. And then you add a baby to that mix, I think can only be more difficult. So what can we do to ensure that mom and baby are having a really good night's sleep?
I mean, without doubt, you know, once you've got a baby or you've got children, definition of sleep, what a good night's sleep is, changes. It may never be the same again, but it's adjusting to that and being kind to yourself about it. You know, you're going to feel tired. It's going to affect your mood and your appetite and your energy and your functioning. And that's completely normal. You know, it upsets the balance of hormones in your body. It's completely normal to feel different, to feel more hungry, for example, you know, for your mood to feel a bit flatter. So be kind to yourself about that. I think my top tips for sleep for mums and parents would be get outdoors. You know, the weather's lovely, and if you've got a garden, spend time in that garden outdoors, because the very act of the sun shining in your eyes and in the back of the retina is what is going to help produce that lovely melatonin hormone, which at night is what then is secreted by the brain to help us slip into a deep sleep. So if you can get out and spend some time outdoors in the garden, or as part of your daily exercise, especially in the morning around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, then that's that dose of sunlight going, even if it's a cloudy day, that dose of sunlight going into the brain is really important. It's going to help you sleep. So I know you know, especially if you're having a bad day, you can think, oh, I can't be bothered to go outside today. See it as part of your sleep medicine to get outside. And also to keep active as well, keep going, keep moving your body, because exercise is another a really good thing to do to help you sleep well. And then make sure that your room is the optimal sleeping environment. So temperature between sort of 16 and 18. And I know 18 is the right temperature for baby as well. Get some blackout blinds, curtains, make sure it's nice and dark. And they say the bedroom should just be for sleeping and having sexual intercourse. So those two things, try to avoid.
Actually, there's the doctor, sexual intercourse and sleep.
Sexual intercourse, very formal,
Very formal.
So make it an environment which is calming. Avoid having pictures of relatives on the wall. Yes. Anything that's going to stimulate you, and try and get a bedtime routine. And I know the word routine, it sort of winds me up a bit, especially as a new mum, because I mean, what does that even mean? You know, routine, really? I'm just dictated by what my little man's doing, you know, and what he wants when he wants it. But a series of things that you do in a certain order in the run up to bedtime. And it's the same for baby, you know, whether that's a bath, some music or a sing-song to baby, or listening to a guided meditation, or doing a bit of stretching. Those things that trigger to yourself or to baby that sleep is coming next. So establishing a good, what we call sleep hygiene routine, I think now more than ever is really, really important.
Yeah, I think I spoke to people who are they've always slept well, but all of a sudden they're not sleeping well, and they don't like the word routine. How am I supposed to just all of a sudden start doing all these things that I've never done in my life? And so I have always struggled to exercise, and so I have had to find ways to exercise, not be like the bodybuilder kind of exercise, but just get enough that I feel a bit lighter and a bit sweatier. And I found that when I wake up, I need to have this routine where I actually don't take a shower, because immediately I take a shower and I'm like, oh, I've already taken a shower. I'm not going to sweat by doing any exercise. So that it's downhill from there. So what I have started doing is I try and wake up and do some work and be wearing gym clothes or clothes that I feel comfortable moving and getting sweaty in, so that I have no excuse. And then what I try and do is to do 5 minutes, because when I think of 30 minutes of exercise, I mean, if you're like me, you'd be thinking, oh my God, 30 minutes of exercise, that's really long. Yeah. But when I think of 60 seconds of exercise, I can force myself to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that helps. Every little helps. It really does.
Yes.
You know, just doing 5-10 minutes here and there, it all adds up and has health benefits. And over the course of the week, you know, you might clock up to an hour over the course of a week. And the point is that anything is better than what you're already doing. So just increasing ever so slightly, you're going to get the same physical and mental health benefits, and making it part of your routine. So I like that you've sort of set yourself up there with your gym wear on or leisure wear on, so it takes away that barrier, the barrier for you having a shower then feeling clean. Think about what the barriers are. Think about what the story is that you're telling yourself as an excuse to maybe not be active, and then see if you can address that. And you know, it doesn't have to be exercise in the form that we would think of. Doing housework, being out in the garden.
That's definitely exercise. People are saying, oh, I'm going to be planting all these veggies. And I'm thinking, yeah, it looks great until you actually have to bend down and pick food. I think I have other ways I like to spend my time, but yeah, that's definitely exercise.
Gardening is definitely the one that I'm doing at the moment to help me exercise, and getting out in the garden, doing lots of digging, and things. Yeah. So you know, I'm working the muscles. Even I'm not necessarily out of breath, I'm still using my muscles and working my muscles. And that 1 hour exercise that we're allowed to do at the house, you know, make the most of that. Walking counts, you know. Yeah. Let's not diss walking here. You know, walking counts as a form of exercise, and it can be really beneficial. And if you are a fast walker, then half an hour is good enough. Yeah. If you're more of a leisurely walker, then aim for around an hour if you can. But try and find ways around the house to incorporate exercise. You know, when you do the stairs, do them 2 or 3 times. You know, all these little things, they really do add up and make a difference.
Fantastic. Is there anyone who has does anyone have a question for Helen? That's all. Yeah, I've been holding her throughout the conversation. So if you have a question for Helen, please feel free to type it. If not, we'll probably just have 1 or 2 more, and then we'll be calling it a day. Yeah? Okay. So you were going through your journal, telling us the things you were grateful for. Have you finished?
Yes. So beautiful baby boy, a precious time as a new family, extended paternity leave, not having to worry about FOMO. What else have I written down? Yeah, I think those are the main ones, really. Yeah. What are you most grateful for in this time, Griselda?
I am grateful to be home. Because before the quarantine, I was very busy, like you. I was traveling a lot, and I enjoyed it, but I was probably a bit too busy. And we just moved house, and I had stuff in the garage, work to do at home, and my husband and I just never had the time to do it. So I'm really grateful to be forced to stay at home and to just take it a day at a time. So I feel very rested.
Yeah.
And I feel very creative, and I feel like myself again. And I didn't even know I wasn't feeling like myself until I got the rest. So I've been really grateful for that. I've been grateful for my husband. And I know a lot of people have gone through all these challenges around, you know, being furloughed and not being furloughed, or not having jobs, and the whole uncertainty that has come with this. And he's been working reliably because he's in the NHS, even though it comes with its own risk. Yeah. So I'm happy that he has that to go to. And I'm just happy for the connectivity I've gotten with my family and friends.
Yeah.
Because whereas before FaceTiming, so I come from a huge family, and there are people you call all the time, there are people you see once a year at Christmas.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's okay to FaceTime them and have group calls and to see their kids, and it's just been okay to do that.
Yeah.
So that's been a lovely, lovely experience.
I hope that's something that continues, you know, when this is,
Yes.
and when the dust has settled and we're back to, well, whatever the new normal is going to be. I hope that we remember
Yes.
how important it was to speak with friends and family regularly, and to speak to people we wouldn't necessarily speak to.
Yeah.
Because it's easy, isn't it, to text and WhatsApp? It's not quite the same. I think
It's
having a good
not.
old-fashioned conversation
No.
really does us good.
And if I'm honest as well, I've been grateful for the stop to pause and reflect, because, you know, I have my own business and I've been doing this since I had my first child, and it's been going well. I've been enjoying it. But I'll probably just have kept doing things the same way for a long time.
Yeah.
And this has just caused me to take a step back and say, do I really need to be doing that? You know,
Yeah.
is that what I really enjoy?
It's
Or
the
am I
pause
just
button,
doing
isn't
it?
it? The pause button is being pressed, and we might not
Yes.
have pressed it ourselves, but seeing as it
Yes.
has been pressed, we may as well make the most
Yes.
of this time to slow down and really reflect and think about what matters to us. I was saying to my husband, you know, we were meant to be moving house, you know, none of that's gone through.
Yeah.
And what's really important to us in a home, spending so much time in our home and garden as we are at the moment, what really matters? What do we really need to be happy? And actually, you need very little, don't you? When we get so used to telling ourselves that we need certain things, that we need to travel, that we need holidays, that we need new clothes and fancy things. And actually, what you really need is connection, you know, shelter, enough money to be able to pay the bills and to eat. And what we really need is quite basic. So, yeah, I think making the most of this opportunity to really reflect on those things is important.
It's been quite a revelation, and I'm so grateful for that, because I think when this is over, I'm not going to go back to doing the same things I was doing in the same way. And I don't have to explain why, because I have COVID as an excuse. Why are you not doing that anymore, Griselda? Oh, I think because of COVID. It's no longer. It's true, because sometimes you just need all these reasons to explain things to people. Not that you have to, but we get into the habit of doing that. And I just don't feel like I need to do that, because, you know, the world has changed. Come on. We've all changed. I've changed. So I'm doing something different.
Yeah,
so that's been a revelation.
Things have changed, haven't they? And I do wonder whether things will ever be the same again, really.
No, I don't think it will, because, you know, I'm seeing the world. I think somebody's asked a question about cultural pressure. So I'm seeing the world from, I have family back in Ghana where we've not had a lot of COVID cases, but people are struggling and poor and live hand to mouth. So the state system isn't there. You wouldn't get furloughed and get 80% of your salary. And certainly for a majority of the population, there isn't the option to work from home. So I hear that side of the story, and I hear what the government is doing there. So it's giving people free water, no bills to pay, no electricity bills to pay, doctors' salaries increased by 50%, no taxes for doctors. Incredible, isn't it? I know. And then on the European side, I hear all these stories. And you know, I do some work in the US as well, and I hear all these stories, and I just think, wow, how is all this going to come back in the same way? It surely can't. And I read a quote this morning from, I think, Jeannie, I've forgotten her last name. She used to be the head of IBM, and what she said was, if you throw cats up in the air, do they fall back in the same way? They don't. They land anywhere. And so that's what's happening. Some people will see the opportunity in this and move forward positively, and some people get caught up in it. And so what we have to do, one of the things I am passionate about doing, my thing is personal growth and leadership and inspiring people to change their lives. I think we need to just grab whatever opportunity is in there somewhere and just make the most of it.
Yeah.
Because it's changed. Like, you can't go back to the way things were. Yeah.
Did you say there was a question, Griselda?
Yes. So there's a question from Chris around, hi, are there any cultural pressures or guilt from your heritage background?
Oh, we've got Chris is in Brazil, so we've got an international watcher there. It's good to
Oh, wow.
Are there any cultural pressures or guilt from your heritage background? Oh, interesting.
Is that in terms of work, or in terms of what is that question specifically?
I'm not sure really. I think either way the answer would be no for me. I mean, my heritage is I'm half, well, I say Yorkshire, half Nigerian.
Oh, she said motherhood. Motherhood. Yes, cultural pressures.
Yeah. No, I'd say not for me. I don't know. How about you, Griselda?
Yeah, so my sister, one of my sisters, was against breastfeeding, vehemently against breastfeeding. She thought babies should be bottle fed and that the bottle feed had more nutrition for them. I don't know where she got that from. And she also had this whole idea about preserving your figure and your breast and, the sagging and that comes to feeding. So anytime she saw me feeding, she used to just go like, why are you doing that? Why don't you bottle feed your baby? And I used to get really, really upset with that. But I'd already decided from my own research that I wanted to breastfeed my kids because, I'm too lazy to wake up at night and go and clean the bottle and do all that. When you're breastfeeding, you just turn over and then you're feeding the baby. So, but because I'd already decided and I was already certain that that was the best thing for me and the baby, I managed to ignore her. But the pressure was certainly there. But my other sister, she had an effect on my younger sister we were both 6 months into our pregnancies, and our kids are 6 months apart. But she ended up bottle feeding her baby because she had no support. Yeah. So there's the cultural, depending on what
and also know. I think you raise a really good point here, whether it's about breastfeeding or how you're going to bath the baby, what you're going to dress them with, how you hold them. People will always be very forthcoming in sharing their opinion and telling you what to do. And that can be really hard when you're already tired, emotional, and you're trying to figure it all out yourself, And I think it's really important to remember that you know best as a parent, as a mum, you know best. Follow your intuition and do what you feel is right and be confident in that decision. But also remember that a lot of people want to tell you what to do because they care, and it's their way of being able to show that they care in a strange roundabout way. So also have patience, I would say, as well. There's another question coming through here.
Can you read it? I'm not sure if you can see it.
From Chaps. Hi both, I'm 15 weeks pregnant and looking for any recommendations for online exercise routines in your second and third trimester. I've got just the thing for you, right? So these are my sort of questions. So that's the second and third trimester. So the important things to remember are especially in the third trimester, you shouldn't be doing any exercise where you're lying on your back. And just generally in pregnancy, if you've already been very active, it's okay to continue doing similar things. If before you got pregnant you weren't very active and you want to become more active, start slowly and gradually build up. But the two resources I would recommend to be physically active safely during pregnancy, and remember exercise is safe during pregnancy. If you're a low risk pregnancy, then there's no reason why you can't exercise and do most things as normal. But the two resources I recommend, both of which I've used, are Jess Ennis, Jen is Pregnancy. She has an app and a newsletter and videos and things, and she's teamed up with her physiotherapist Ali Rose, who got her back to gold medal standard after she had a first little boy. So there's really good advice there about the core and exercising both during pregnancy and after in a way that make sure you protect your core. And the second one would be Mummy Fit. So I joined Mummy Fit actually when I was pregnant, and they're now doing Mummy Fit live sessions, so they're happening most days, and other mums from all around the country tune in. I think the last one I was on, I tend to do them on a Monday to set myself up for the week, and there were about 28 other mums who tuned in on Facebook to these Mummy Fit classes with the instructor Alex. So I'd recommend both of those resources.
Fantastic. I mean, I don't think, is it Chaps was expecting that detailed, very useful answer, but there we go. That's the joy of having people on a live who know what they're talking about. So Helen, thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your contribution. I wish you and your baby happy quarantining. And once the season is over, I'm sure we'll see each other and we'll have big hugs and drink lots of wine and tonic. And
yeah, looking forward to all of that, definitely.
Yes,
thanks for having me on. It was really good to see you and to chat.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining us. We're having these weekly well-being quarantine sessions from this Instagram account, Forward Ladies, and we have another one planned. So if you haven't joined any of the sessions already, please just keep an eye out for them and tell your friends and your colleagues to come, because we have some fantastic speakers planned, and all we want to do is to support you throughout this period, because we're a community that cares, when we're a community that wants to pay back and just support everybody through this. And if you like what you're seeing and you want to be part of us, then you can head over to our website, forwardladies.com. We have a free membership. You can join and receive our newsletters and join other longer sessions over on our website. So thank you so much for joining us. Have a lovely day.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.